Hello, everyone. We're back with week two quests, and just like last week, we were supposed to select two of the four available quests and complete them. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it here. The first quest that I selected was the number two quest, the weekly plan. I selected this quest for a multitude of reasons, but the biggest one being that living my daily life with ADHD is always challenging, trying to time manage and keep myself from rabbit holing or getting hyper fixated on something that has nothing to do with anything that I'm supposed to be doing. So I've already started implementing things in my life over the last few years. Things like using reminders on my phone, daily, weekly, yearly planners help keep myself, focused and on track with things that are really important. Before I did these things in my life, I was really suffering. I was always backed up against some sort of deadline. I was always stressed, always log jammed in some way or another, and I wasn't having any time for what I would call guilt free play. Time where you can sit around and do something to relax and unwind without feeling like you're supposed to be doing something else. And so I'm always looking for new methods and new ways to improve upon the system that I already have. And this weekly plan from this lesson is fantastic. It provides like a daily motivation, like, okay, I have to have these specific things done today. And then when I get these done, I need to make sure that I'm making time for play, that I'm making time for family, that I'm making time for meditation and health, like exercise, and making sure that I've allotted enough time to be able to prepare meals that are healthier instead of eating out of the microwave. Things like this have really, really impacted my life and the level of joy that's in my life, because now I get to sit down and enjoy that guilt free relaxation. And with this schedule, it even blocks out time specifically for play, which is not something that I had ever done before. And I love that. I love that it makes sure that there's time allotted in my day to relax and unwind and allow my brain to just kind of chill, which can be very difficult for me. And I know a lot of people are like, man, a schedule does not sound like joy or fun. And I'm not saying that the schedule itself is like it's a little tedious for me to sit down at the beginning of the week and go through everything and make sure that it's all lined up and that I haven't forgotten anything, but it only takes, 15, 20 minutes of my time, and it has freed up hours of my time every week. So those extra hours go into completing projects, which then goes into freeing up other time for me to allow for play and for relaxation and even some extra sleep if I need it. Now, the second quest that I chose was quest number three, the learn a new skill. And this one was kind of difficult at first just because I had to make a decision on what kind of skill I wanted to learn. But actually, once I sat down and started making, a list of things that I thought would be great to learn and then eliminating them, one by one due to time constraints, availability of materials, things like that, it kind of hit me that one of the projects last week that I did, the play personality crest, really brought to light how much I wish that I could draw better. And for a multitude of reasons. One, I just like art, and I would love to be able to capture a scene, especially in nature, that I feel like it doesn't matter how nice your camera is, it's never going to do it justice. There's something emotional about art that you can do that you can't do with a camera or with a description. And I've always loved that. And then there's the more practical side of it where I do a lot of business. I've started a lot of my own businesses. I still currently work for myself while I'm going to school here and trying to build a brand for my music career, in the future. And so something that comes out of that is like logos and graphics and album covers, things that, really grab people's attention. And I would love it if I could maybe at least do some of these things myself, if not be able to push myself far enough to be able to do it all myself. Allow not only my expression to come through my music, but through my art as well, and put them together. And so I sat down and I did some research. I don't have a bunch of art materials laying around, sketchbooks, things like that. So I went ahead and I found an application for my iPad, a fantastic sketchbook application that you can use all sorts of different techniques and colors and textures and things like that, to build a sketch, to draw a sketch just digitally, which I thought would be the best option for me this week. So I went ahead and I downloaded that. And then I got myself on YouTube and I started just watching a ton of tutorials, how to cartoon, how to landscape paint, things about perspective and lighting and shadowing, color blending, complementing colors, of course, your primary and your secondary colors, um, just all sorts of really cool videos that pumped a bunch of information into my brain, not so much to overload, but enough to get me started. And then I sat down with my iPad and I put in the work. I put in the time. Um, am I Da Vinci or Van Gogh? Absolutely not. At least not yet. Maybe someday. But I went from barely being able to draw stick people to putting a decent couple landscapes down on this app, and really getting to put to work some of those lessons that I had picked up about shading and color and things like that, perspective. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys those right now. Okay, so this is the first of the three that I'm going to show you today. This one here is where I really wanted to practice my shading, trying to really get an eye in for the shadows and the lighting and everything, making sure it was all coming from the same light perspective. So as you can see here, I just did this all in grayscale. I just wanted to really get a feel for trying to put in the ridges and the waves and the textures of the hills and mountains that I was trying to portray. Now I ended up making it look a little more like sand dunes in this one, so that's what brought me to the next one here, where I tried to put a little color to it. Now the point of the color in this one was to try to bring back the intent of it being mountains instead of being dunes, like sand dunes. Honestly, what I think I should have done with this one is run with the sand dune thing. The feel of it just didn't quite work out as mountains, and that's okay. I'm still learning. The other one I'd like to share with you is this one here. This one is mountains. I like a whole lot more. I got much harder, crisper lines in this one using a different technique. I'm a lot more jagged and pointed on the mountains, which looks a lot more like the mountains that I'm surrounded by, and what I would consider to be a traditional mountain. I think the lighting in this one worked out a little bit better. I really like the fiddling I did with the colors in the sky and the dusk. This one was a lot more about the colors and the emotions that it makes you feel than trying to practice anything. So you can see that my shading isn't as prevalent, or the colors aren't like perfectly blended. But I ended up really liking this one. Out of all the ones I did this week, this one I'd have to say is my favorite, and has really actually inspired me to keep pushing forward, because I sure came a long way Now, this I would week have to say from that the two nothing to being concepts able that to put really something stuck like out to me this this down. week were neuroplasticity and creative blocks. Neuroplasticity is something that I've already known about for a few years now. I'm a very self-educated person, so I've read a lot into ways to put an edge on your sword, so to speak, how to improve cognitive function, how to break old habits and instill new habits, how to refigure your point of view on things, to trick your brain into letting you do things that it was just kind of lazing about and not letting you do. So, neuroplasticity really stuck with me that it came up in this lesson because it's something that I'm already incorporating heavily into my daily life. Um, I'm making sure that I'm always trying to learn something new, which with school has been definitely easy. Every week is packed with all sorts of new things. Um, but on top of that, I'm also making sure that I'm trying to reinforce my positive behaviors in my daily life, trying to break myself of negative behaviors like overeating and being sedentary. The last few years, I've really kind of let myself go, so to speak. I was kind of losing focus in my life as things were kind of becoming overwhelming. So as I fought through that, I've broken a lot of those bad habits, and now I'm starting to get up and get active, do my daily meditations, do my daily exercises, making sure I'm taking at least a walk, getting that fresh air, getting sunshine or rain or whatever might be out there. Puzzles, doing puzzles, really working my brain in abstract ways, and then in more concrete ways, working on the skills that I have already developed. I'm constantly modifying and working on cars. I write poetry all the time. I've really tried to start learning how to write music, which has been fantastic and frustrating all at the same time. Um, I mean, there's just a lot of ways that neuroplasticity affects my daily life and will continue to affect my daily life. So I thought it was fantastic being able to dive a little deeper into that this week and get to do some reading that I hadn't read yet and get another perspective on things. The other concept that really stuck with me this week was creative blocks. Now, this is something that everybody deals with at some point or to some degree in their life when they're trying to do something. And it's not always like some insane block, but it's something everybody deals with. For me, it always seems to come out of nowhere. Like I'll be flowing on a project real good, writing out some poetry, and then boom, just lost it. My brain skipped a beat and it's gone. Um, I'll be, drawing up concept stuff for the vehicles that I'm working on, or trying to lay paint or tape, or I'm sitting looking at an empty shell and my brain's assembling these ideas, and then it all just kind of melts away. Um, this is something that I struggle with all the time. So, learning about the different causes of creative blocks and different steps and methods we can take to overcome them and try to power through them was fantastic. These some of these concepts or these tricks I had already known, but there was quite a few of them that I learned that I was totally blown away. I was like, how did I not think of that? But with this study this week, there's a lot of projects that have been sitting around of mine that I've been stuck on, and I've tried to go back to time and time again. And sometimes I make a little progress, and sometimes I don't. And I learned this week that it's really myself hyping myself up and then like failing to deliver, and I'm just building my own block worse and worse. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to meditate on things and use these methods to try to push through that and to work through that, and realizing that the block is myself just standing in the way of myself has been a fantastic, I guess, revelation or breakthrough. I don't know. It's not, it doesn't seem life changing, but to me, it really feels like it is. It was a perspective that I didn't have that I've gained now that really is affecting, my outlook on things and my positivity on my projects and my personal expression. So that it was definitely something that hit home to me this week. This week's quests have definitely had a huge effect on my well-being. Um, the weekly plan format alone, I love the way that it lines out like your daily important things that you must make sure are done, but then pushes you to make sure you're taking time for yourself and for your mental health, taking time for those around you, and pushing you to new heights. Like every day, it reminds you, hey, you need to push through, check this out, push for this, keep those steps going. Um, Well, eliminating the stress of, oh, how am I going to get this all done? How am I going to fit this together? It helps to make sure you're breaking it up into those bite sized chunks that you can chip away at across a period of time and make some real progress. The positive effect on my mental health and my daily productivity after adding some of these methods to my daily schedule has already become apparent. Like, even after just a few days, I'm seeing more productivity in my day and more time actually for myself and to start spending with the family in relaxation mode, so to speak, because my time is being so well managed. As for my second quest, I loved trying to master this new skill. I loved teaching myself more about art and the concepts that apply to trying to put down an expression or an idea or something that you can see. Um, I love that I learned that the only thing holding me back from this skill and a lot of others that I've had the desire to master over the years was just myself and my own mental blocks about thinking that, oh, this just isn't for me because I didn't have a what I would call a natural inclination towards it like I do a lot of other things. And so I thought that it was out of my reach, it was something meant for somebody else. And so that was keeping me from developing the very skills that I so wanted to have. Um, and that realization really has opened my eyes to a lot of the things that I've wanted to do that I've fought myself on, um, and just held myself back from. So this week has really helped me push through a lot of barriers that I had sitting in the back of my head, and it just goes to show that my old adage that I try to live my life by is true. You rise and rise again until lambs become lions, and that is all about your own self discipline and your own self determination. Um, so sitting down and meditating on all the things I read and I learned this week has really altered my path to well being and what I consider to be a healthy well being and a healthy state of mind. Um, and so I would encourage you all to sit down and just give yourself some meditation every day, just some quiet thought, um, to to push these things and to push yourself, to go that extra step today and that extra step tomorrow. And pretty soon you'll be moving very fast down the path that you would like to see yourself go down. So thank you very much for your time and have a wonderful day.